Can you see me? Okay. It's like grayed out for some reason. So it's just kind of tripping me out a little bit. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Sorry, I'm like running in here right on time. Um, my son had another bloody nose. So with that fun thing. Okay. Are the other people in here? Okay. So this was originally I was scheduled to give a talk about sort of what happens with hermit crabs. I know that it's not a live chat. Well, it's a discussion panel. It's 1 a.m. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. Um, thanks, Jessica. I didn't mean for that to be like front and center. Anyway, so hi, Courtney. Originally, I was supposed to give a talk about this, but my life has been ridiculously insane. And so I just couldn't do it justice in terms of a main stage discussion. So Mary gave me the opportunity to chat with a few other people on a panel about, we get all these people in the group that come and we all start in the same place. A lot of us where we go to a beach or we go to the pet store and we see these hermit crabs and we feel terrible for them, right? I have a total bleeding heart. And our first inclination is to try and rescue all of the hermit crabs there because we don't want to see them in this terrible situation. But I think it's important. This is like changing off and on because of the light behind me. I think it's important for people to know exactly where those hermit crabs came from because a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't realize that hermit crabs are being taken from the wild. A lot of people don't realize the conditions that they are kept in from when they are taken from the wild and when they actually make it into the beach shops or pet stores. So I think it's important to shed light on that in order to shake up the hermit crab industry. Because if people don't know that this is happening, they can't be outraged about it, if that makes sense. So there were a couple people that were gonna hop on with me. I'm not sure if they're gonna hop on in video or if they're just gonna hop on in the comments. But if you're supposed to be here and you're wanting to moderate, I think Mary made a post about it. Please feel free to hop on and hopefully my dog stops barking at the mailman. How many people in here, I know there's about 16 of us, got your hermit crab from a beach shop or a pet store? A lot of us, right? Rita, you can join me with video. Robin adopted? That's awesome. See, oh my gosh. Excuse me while Arlo, come here. There's a package. I'm really sorry, guys. Super unprofessional. I thought I was in the clear because my kids are sleeping, but apparently not. So most of us, though, that's really awesome that we had at least one person who actually started by adopting. I had no idea that was a thing. My first experience with hermit crabs was when I was a child, and I was enthralled and enamored by them. I couldn't stop watching them in all the beach shops on the one vacation my family took, and I had to have one. And I've heard that story from a lot of people. I had them when I was younger, and then I decided to get another one. And that's what happened with me. I was in Pensacola as an adult, and I saw a toy store that had hermit crabs advertised in the window. And, I start begging my husband to let me go in and get a hermit crab. Even though, of course, I'm an adult, I can go in and get a hermit crab if I want, but we got to have support of our family members for our endeavors. And so ultimately I wore him down and I got this hermit crab. And as a child, I didn't have to think about where this hermit crab came from or what kind of care it needed. I just gave it the pellets from the store and thought it was happy in its little container. And, of course, it didn't make it very long. It didn't last, it didn't live. But as an adult, I thought there's got to be more things that this crab would enjoy than this little plastic container. And I fell down a rabbit hole that I think a lot of us fall down, where you actually read something about them and you think, oh my goodness, this is not adequate. And so you start reading more things. And thank God that I found the Land Hermit Crab Owner Society and Crab Street Journal. And it escalated pretty quickly, like it does for a lot of people, where I started with the plastic container. Then I ran immediately to the store and bought a 10-gallon. And then I realized that that wasn't adequate. So then I got a 55-gallon, which turned into a 75-gallon. And now somehow I have a 220-gallon tank in my dining room, among other tanks. Kelsey got started by finding an article that was talking about shell shortage. That's interesting. That's really interesting. Store-bought. Robin's was store-bought when she was 10. Yes, mine. And my mother reminded me that hermit crab that I brought back from Hilton Head, South Carolina, it did a surface molt. And I completely forgot that had happened. I don't really have very many memories of this hermit crab that I had, other than I remember showing it to my neighbor and it was walking across the picnic table, of course, because I had it out because I didn't know that it shouldn't be out. And it dropped its big pincher. And I remember my neighbor was like screaming, and I told her it was okay, he'll grow it back. Like it was no big deal that this poor little crab just lost his arm, essentially. But yeah, he surfaced. And I remember my mom, she also told me that she had to find a shell he outgrew. I know, it's sad. It's funny because my neighbor really was, I mean, it was comical how she was yelling, and you don't have that memory, but I do. But now looking back, I'm mortified that happened. But my mom also had to go through random like decorative shells to find him another shell because he was hanging way out. Yes, Jean. Yeah, adopting them from people who have the wire cages and stuff. Sorry, I'm trying to highlight some of the things other people are sharing because I think it's important for this to be a discussion and not just me chit-chatting my tired head off. Yours pulled off one of his claws, Robin. It's so sad because people just don't know. I mean, I was one of those people. I really, truly didn't know. And I mean, my parents at the time, they didn't know either. They just, their child is the one vacation. They want to make it memorable. And so they got me this hermit crab. And actually, technically, I had two hermit crabs because they bought me one on this vacation and it mysteriously disappeared in the night. We're fairly certain that my cousin released it in the condo we were staying at. But despite our best efforts, we couldn't find it.
Oh my gosh.
Hi, good morning or night.
Wow.
I don't know what time it is there.
No, it's not here.
Thank you for coming to talk
It's 10 o'clock.
with me.
No worries. Thank you very, very much for having me.
Oh, well, your
Oh my
perspective,
God. Should
sure
have
everybody would love
should have
your
changed.
input.
Hold on. Hold on.
Okay.
I gotta change. Hold on.
Okay. Okay, well, he'll be back. But anyway, on that note, I think it's just so important that we really bring attention to what happens to them before that, because I'm not sure, is everyone in here aware of where hermit crabs come from and what happens to them? Maybe some of it, but maybe we're not all aware of all of it. But it's the Land Hermit Crab Owner Society mission not only to educate the public on proper hermit crab husbandry, but also to help end the wild capture and promote the breeding programs instead. And that's why yes, they do. It's so important that we promote adoption, we promote these breeding programs, that we help support individuals who are willing to try. I know a lot of times the knee-jerk reaction when someone says they want to breed hermit crabs is we're like, no, you can't. It's too hard. Only one person's done it. She's like, well, not one, but only a few people have done it, and it's super hard. Don't try. But we need people to try. If people don't try, if we don't find ways, I can add people to ask their questions. Oh, neat. Okay. Thanks, Mary. Mary's so awesome. Can we all just like give our round of applause at home for Mary? I don't know how she is Wonder Woman, by the way. I don't know how she does everything she does, but I adore her, and she's a phenomenal person, and she puts up with me. And that in itself, my husband will tell you, is special. Mother Mary, yes. That's what I like to call her also. Thank you, Mary, for putting this together. This is so neat. And I love that we can all be together around the world and everybody can participate. Um, yes, Kelsey, I loved watching your breeding attempt, and just the camaraderie that she had with you to come alongside you and help you sort out how you could do it at home. I think that's so important that other people try to find ways to make this work. Hopefully risky gets risky is am I saying that right? Anyway, hopefully he gets changed and comes back to join us. Let me see. Okay, so yes, if other people want to chime in or ask questions, I will be keeping an eye out for those requests. I don't think there's anything. You can add them if you'd like to. Cool. Yeah, anybody who wants to chime in and ask questions. Let's see. Can I? Ooh, invite to video call. Cool, figured it out. Is that it? Is that him? Yes, Mary, please give it a shot. Risky, I think that's you making that sound.
Let's do this.
Oh, yay. There it is. Okay, you're back. Yay.
Yay! Oh, hey,
Okay, I lost my train of thought. Risky, would you like, am I saying that right? Risky?
risky. Yeah, just
Cool.
risky.
Oh, risky. Um, would you like to say some things?
Yeah, checking up the hermit crab industry. Uh, uh, I would really love to start the breeding program here in Indonesia. Yeah, and I've been trying to, but my crabs are they refuse to do the thing. Yeah, so they've so far refused to mate. Yeah, maybe maybe once I renovated the other side of my uh, habitat, there will be more space, some more places to get together probably. So we'll see. And Mary's
Neat.
been giving me some tips also. Yeah.
That's awesome. That it would be great to have those breeding programs all over the world,
Yeah.
especially. And we all have, I love that your setup in particular is, you tried some new things with it. So I'm interested to see how that goes with
Yep.
what you've built there, because that's really interesting. I see 3 requests in the queue. However, I can't click on any. Maybe
Is
like
this
this.
it? There's Jean, Saunders, Jessica, and Judith. Three
Yeah, but
requests.
I've pushed those and they're not, it doesn't do anything.
There's a there's a there's an add button there. If you hover
Yeah,
over their names.
pushing it, but it's not.
Okay. Do you want me to try it? Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep, not doing anything. No.
Okay.
Hold on. Oh, do audio video settings.
Scroll back
Set.
up in the comments. Sorry if we're missing anything. When talks show up on, oh, just kidding. Session. Okay, there. I'm just scrolling back to the comments to make sure I didn't miss something
Yeah.
someone said. So Kelsey, I just want to highlight a few things Kelsey had mentioned. She said she actually had got started finding an article that was talking about a shell shortage, which also discussed how crabs are captured, cared for, and what they actually need. And she said she was telling a classmate about what she'd learned and found out she had two crabs that she wasn't interested in. And she said she wasn't doing all of that. So she offered to take them. And I think a lot of us end up like that too, where
Yeah.
somebody has a crab that they're not taking care of or doesn't want to take care of anymore. And, we're like, cool, I'll take that hermit crab. And then we find out all these other things that we didn't know. Um, and in regards, she said she tries to make a point to at least mention that they need quite a bit of care and space and that they're all wild caught and treated badly whenever she talks to people about her hermit. And I'm with you, Kelsey. I can ramble for ages about them too. Ask any repair person that ever steps foot in my house and asks me what the large tank is for. They end up getting hermit crab 101 in my dining room, which is fun. Um, I'll keep looking to see if I can add these requests, but thus far I can't. So let's see. The next
So
thing.
Jean there, I think, asked something. How do we get the pet stores to listen and understand that people will take better care of their land hermit crabs after seeing how the store cares for them? I've gone into multiple stores. Yep, and they run while I'm there. So I mean, they go back to not caring. I think for the stores, uh, it's tough, isn't it? Rose Maria, because they're there just for they sell crabs for the money.
Mhm.
They need the turnover. And as a patient, better
So
care.
I
Yeah.
actually touched on this a little bit in what I was writing about, and I'm hoping to finally get this essay sort of thing that I was talking
Mhm.
about finished so that I can Stacy's going to add it as a unit, I think, in the group and possibly on CSJ. But I mentioned in there, what happens, all these things happen with these hermit crabs where they're taken from the wild and then they're put into bags or boxes and then into storerooms with thousands of other crabs. And yes, somebody mentioned, aren't they put into painted shells? Yes, a lot of times there's videos actually on YouTube that you can see where they stick the crab. And I'm sorry, this is maybe triggering for anyone, but they do. They stick them in a vise and crack off their natural shell so that they can force them to take one of the painted shells they have. And that's where a lot of problems happen for crabs when the painted shells aren't completely dry. They can get stuck to them actually, and make it so that they can't molt successfully. But all of this happens, and then actually somebody at Petco told me that their hermit crabs actually arrive to them in Chinese takeout boxes.
Yeah.
And then what happens with the merchants, right? So they need to replace their inventory, so they harvest more, right? So then they're depleting um, all of these hermit crabs from their natural environment, and the businesses are only centered on profit. They only tell you what you need to know to take care of that hermit crab short term. They don't tell you when you get a hermit crab at the pet store or a beach shop, that that could be your friend for the next 40 years. Because if the hermit crab doesn't make it, you're gonna probably come back if you had it for a child and get yourself another hermit crab. And by marketing all of these inferior products towards hermit crabs, they know that you're going to come back and keep buying their little containers of pellets or their water solutions. They don't want you to know that you could make how many jugs of primed water with just one little bottle of prime. So they're not going to tell that kind of stuff. But there's some amazing articles on CSJ that talk about how we can actually respectfully educate the pet stores and beach shops. And there's even one on there that talks about uh, how you can prove to them that taking care of them properly will actually bring people in to be buying more things because they'll be buying the right
Yeah.
thing. And that's important. If you haven't checked out that section of the Crab Street Journal, I highly suggest doing it. There are handouts that you can print out to take places. There's places that you can even get the Crab Street Journal business cards to hand out to people, and or businesses that sell them. There's care sheets. There are pre-made letters that you can personalize and send to different stores and things. There's a really great collection of outreach materials there that I feel like are widely underused in our community. And maybe it's because a lot of people don't know that they're there, but that's where I would start.
Yeah.
How do you?
Um, I was just reading Kelsey's comments here. I'm just um, I'm just wondering, how much are the hermit crabs over there? Like sell for the small
In the
ones and
US?
the big ones. Yeah,
Well,
in the
it
US,
depends on
in the
where you get
more.
them. Like at Petco, you can get what they call like a tiny or a small hermit crab for about
Mhm.
$4.99, and the fancy hermit crabs that come in the painted shells are typically a few dollars more. If you go to a beach shop, you can buy the hermit crab habitat, which is their little plastic critter keeper with some stones and a
Yeah.
palm tree, usually for around $12 to $15, and you get a free crab with this cage.
So the cheapest one is 4.99 or
Yeah.
five dollars.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's not exactly cheap, right?
I mean, it depends on what you're comparing it to.
Okay, because because in Indonesia, like you can get 10 crabs, 10 small rugosus crabs, so about
Mm-hmm.
that big, for um, in US for 70 cents. 10 crabs, 70 cents.
Well, yeah. Well, aren't they
Okay.
they're more readily available where you live? Here they have to all be imported in. So
Oh
I
yeah,
guess in a way
well,
we're paying for their plane ticket.
imported. They are kind of imported because they came from other islands. Yeah, there are no hermit crabs in Java or on the island where I live.
Hmm.
They have to come from the island next to Bali or from Sumatra. Yeah, and so they spent about at least 4 to 5 days on the road. Yeah, so nothing is just I'm I'm just comparing it
Yeah.
from
Kelsey, Kelsey made a good point.
here to there. Yeah,
He said it's
guess
going to depend
very
on the local
cheap.
economy. And here in the US, $5 to $20 is cheap for most of the US, particularly for a pet for a kid. If you compare it to any of the
Yeah,
other, especially at Petco, if you look at any of their reptiles or their other little
yeah,
what am I thinking? I'm thinking of hamsters and things. They're going to cost more, and they're going to um Yeah, like Mary has said, there's no other pets you can buy that cheaply. And that's true, especially when they tell you like, oh, you all you need are these little pellets and it's little container.
Mm,
Um, $50 for a marine fish is considered cheap. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, hamster, leopard gecko,
Okay.
those
Yeah.
are all
Yeah. Yeah.
cheaper too, but not as cheap as a hermit crab, technically. Oh, thanks, Rita. Rita posted the advocacy and outreach link for anybody who's interested in
Yay.
out what's available there. Um,
Yeah.
what is the captive bred?
This Helena, I think Helena mentioned that in Australia, all reptile and amphibian owners must have licenses. Yep, I can confirm that's true because but yeah, hermit crabs not really. I remember buying a $50 strawberry, the big one
Mm.
in WA. Yeah, but I didn't uh, I wasn't it was there wasn't any what is it permits required. Yeah, but yeah,
Also,
you know,
I don't know if it's Tamara or Tamara Ramirez. It is, and that's exactly what she said. It's scary to walk into pet stores and see their current living conditions. I always want to just buy them out to save them, but I know it means they will pull more from the wild to replace the ones just sold. It's a never-ending cycle of hurt for these wonderful creatures, and it breaks my heart. And that's exactly where and why I started with the paper that I'm writing, because it breaks all of our hearts. And usually my go-to is just don't look, as terrible as it is. It's not to say that you're ignoring them, but it's just that by purchasing another one, you are in theory, another one's going to take its place. So
mm,
purchasing them is just putting more money in the pockets of the people who are a part of this trade. And so what we're trying to do is, if they don't have someone to buy their product, they're not going to be as eager to sell it, right? So I feel like that's one facet that we can start to make a difference in. If people aren't going and trying to buy up all these crabs, those are less crabs that are being taken. Now, I know that people say that, you know, it, those few crabs aren't going to matter, but if we as a community start educating the public, start telling people about these breeding programs, getting them to, LHCOS and learning about proper care, it takes time, but these are things that can make a difference. And I had written down some calls to action. People were asking, well, how do we make these changes? What can we do? Well, the first thing on my list was resist the urge to purchase wild caught hermit crabs. Purchasing one, even under the best intentions, sentences another to death. It's tragic and unfair. Then we can support and utilize our adoption program. A lot of people don't know that there's actually a hermit crab adoption program. And even just locally, someone posted on one of our lost pet sites in our community that they found a hermit crab walking through the grocery store. Just a random hermit crab walking past the registers. And she's like, oh my goodness, what do I do with this? So she posted it on her local lost pet group. And I had comments saying, we have a great adoption program. You can come put it up for adoption, or I can come get it and take care of it until we adopt it out. Several comments on that page were like, wow, I didn't know that there was a hermit crab rescue or adoption type thing. So getting the word out for that type of
yeah.
um, and supporting the breeding programs, even if you can't physically yourself attempt to breed, supporting the programs of people who can, supporting Mary, supporting the other breeders by donating funds or supplies, or if you're local to them, time. Their success is a success for us all. And I truly believe that captive bred hermit crabs are the solution to this problem. When we can make captive bred hermit crabs more readily available to people, we can start pushing for laws. We'll have more ground to stand on and pushing for laws to
Mm.
stop the import of these crabs.
So Jessica here asked, what's the captive bred path forward? I think this ties in very well with what you just said. Rose Marie, so say, do we, so, and Jessica wrote, so say we do start getting more people breeding successfully. How do we start getting the word out? Do we start working with pet stores to sell captive bred babies, or do we do it like from breeder to breeder and adopt them out? Or do you know anything about this,
Um,
Rosemary?
Me personally, I
Mhm.
think this is maybe something that Mary might touch on in her breeding. She
Yeah.
gave me a
Mm.
specific talk about breeding. Um, I haven't, I don't really have a great answer for that, but I think that there's a lot of different aspects of it to consider. How do
Yeah.
we start getting the word out? I mean, kind of the same ways that we're trying to get the word out about proper hermit crab care, by telling people, by telling the pet stores, by using these advocacy pages. And I'm not sure, honestly, I can't remember if there's one about captive breeding in that advocacy thing, but maybe that's something that we need to make, some sort of notice or letter that includes that there are captive breeding efforts that people can be aware of,
Mhm.
and leading people to Crab Street Journal and the Land Hermit Crab Owners Society. Um, and I think, right now, I don't think that there's enough. There's not, we need more people successfully breeding before we can really start pushing this captive bred babies to pet stores and things like that. Because right now it's amazing of a scale it is. It's a small scale, really, when you think about how many beach shops, how many pet stores, um, and supply, right? Supply and demand. What they aren't going to want to purchase these from a breeder. They don't recognize yet the value and the time and the effort that it takes for
Mm.
these babies to even exist. Countless hours.
Yeah.
Again, Mary
Um,
is a miracle worker, as are the other, I believe, ladies that have done this. Amazing. I would lose my mind at the little dropper point where she's siphoning babies with droppers. I'm such a perfect. I have a touch of OCD, and I'm a perfectionist, and I would just be like eyes twitching, and I think my husband would divorce me if I ever said I was going to attempt that. He's been very supportive. He's helped me build all of my crab tanks, but if I said I was going to do that, I'm pretty sure he would point to the door. Bye.
imagine, imagine doing that to 3,000 babies.
Yeah. No, I can't. Like when
Doing the drop.
he's talking about these things, I'm like, I get a little bit anxious just hearing it or reading about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, how? How? It's so time. People just don't realize how much time she spends and how much care and how much, everything that goes into it. It's phenomenal. I mean, we should do like an true Hollywood story on Mary and her hermit crab
Mm.
breeding, or any of the other people that do it. Moa can confirm that it's exhausting, and working with the dropper gives you a headache after a while. I bet. It gives me a headache thinking about it.
So it's I think somebody here mentioned, I think Kelsey,
And
again, I think it's it's gonna be it has to be a multi-pronged approach, right? Not just the breeding, but also the education
mhm.
and what else? Yeah, yeah. So and also I think approach to the authorities, maybe. Yeah, but I think speaking of education, I think what we some of our members here in Indonesia did, and also is that they were lucky enough to be invited into TV shows here. And there are a lot of TV stations here, and there are lots of shows like variety shows and stuff. And sometimes we got invited in, and when that and then we give some talk about hermit crabs there. We brought our hermit crabs there to show people, hey. here they are, they got, the brave manus, they can get this big, that alone um, usually makes people go like, wow, they grow this big, and then after that, like an hour or 2 hours after the show aired, usually we got like dozens of people asking to join the group, and so that's a good thing, I think. So that's one thing here in Indonesia that we have been doing, yeah. But again, that's only one. I
But
really want to
great.
um, do the breeding one, yeah.
That is great. And that's a good point, and that ties in with the education. You show people, you get that word out there. And that's an interesting concept of reaching out to these programs that feature different animals and creatures and things. I mean, I just think of the late night shows too, where they bring in somebody with all of their reptiles or whatever, and they talk
Ah,
about,
I know.
you know what I mean? But then people learn something about.
Yeah, yeah,
Helena said in the
yeah,
tarantula
yeah.
keeping world, all of them started out as wild caught. There are now many breeders around the world. It would be amazing to see worldwide breeders in the near future. I agree. And Kelsey, I don't think it would be an option to post flyers or ads in pet stores for captive bred hermit crabs because that would directly be in
Hmm.
conflict with them trying to make money. So I doubt that they would allow that to stay, unfortunately. But I do like the idea. I think it was again Helena who said push for licensing for hermit crabs. I mean, there's no regulation really with this. I was looking into, I think it's Merv. Stacy had sent me some links to read for this, and the application was so vague for what he had to apply to import these hermit to go and get these hermit crabs. Um, and he alone, I think it was thousands, hundreds of thousands of crabs that he gets in like a night and brings back to
Yeah.
New Jersey. It was. Um, and there's not really very much um, monitoring of that. So yeah, they're easy to just sell as a throwaway pet.
Robin here is just mentioned something interesting, Robin Louis. Unfortunately, the less human-like an animal is, the less we as a society value them. Yep, I think that's true. However, the opposite effect is true also. I can think of a less human-like animal like tarantulas or like reptiles, yeah, and the community around it is very strong, right? And the people there feel very strongly about them, and I think they've managed to elevate them to that exotic level, and I think that what we should do also. Yeah, so less human like an animal. Yes, that's a detriment, but I think it it can be a strong point also.
There was another sorry, I just
Really relax.
comment. Christopher said, I would suggest a two-pronged approach. You need to do both. You need to provide captive bred permits to pet stores for free. This makes it worth their while to sell these for greater profit than those they had to pay for. Go to
Hmm.
schools where all the kids who want hermit crabs and talk about adopting crabs. Both will undercut the wild caught industry and supply and demand chain. Unfortunately, the just sheer amount of time and money and supplies that it takes for breeding, there's I don't see how that would be possible to provide captive bred crabs to pet stores for free. I think the whole educating, yeah, I think going to schools and doing programs, if you can get permission, that's an excellent idea. Darcy does great things at her school in her class with hermit crabs. And I think that that's amazing. The more we teach kids about these crabs, the more that when they go on these vacations with their families, they'll know what these crabs actually need. And in my experience, a lot of kids really want to take care of their pets the proper way. Um, they care also. My son, I am shocked by the amount of information that he has picked up just by listening to me. And he'll hear me here as an example, he'll hear me say that, oh, I'm taking this crab to this person because I help with the adoption program. And sometimes I take in rescues and then I rehome them. And he'll say, but what if they don't know how to take care of them? And I said, it's okay, sweetheart. Like we screen everybody. I made sure. And he's like, are you sure? What if they don't have the right tank? Do they know what they need to eat? And he's quizzing me about proper care and if I made sure that this person is going to take care of them. So I think educating kids is a great way. I mean, they're the next generation, right? So if we educate them, not only are they going to have that information on their vacations now as children, but when they grow up and they have their own kids, they'll have that foresight of, wait, this crab actually needs more than they're getting.
Right. Booth. Hermit crabs. Helena says hermit crabs can be seen as economically valuable like tarantulas. However, it takes education and advocacy, yeah, to raise the value. Yeah. Uh,
Darcy had a good. How do we push for greater regulations on hermit crabs? Would we have to start at city level, state level? That's a very good question. Let me see if I wrote any of that.
Kelsey, I think, replied to that.
Oh, did you? Yay.
Yeah. Kelsey said state level would probably be most effective. Darcy, I think cities are too so small comparatively, but I think it would also be very difficult to push for it, given there's not much reason for states to be concerned with it. Yeah, true. Hermit crabs provide little threat to people, which is a primary reason for making animals illegal or requiring permits. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Even in Jakarta, I know that we had hermit crabs in our beaches as little as 30 years ago or so. Now it's completely gone, and nobody's like missing them. Ugh.
Jocelyn said, just like they have adoption events for cats and dogs, maybe local people with babies can do the same sort of thing and hold like a master class, give info, adoption application, hands-on to view babies. I mean, that's another great, I think any way that we can educate and bring awareness, especially firsthand. People like visuals. They like to be able to see it and to hear someone talk. A lot of times people don't read, right? We pass things, we pass signs and words all the time, but someone there physically showing you. I had actually started to talk to our local aquarium about they have a touch area where they have this trench full of all these different types of crabs that kids can come and touch the crab. And, in a lot of ways, I cringe quite a bit, walk past this area. But then I thought, this is the perfect place to come and like set up shop someday or, once a week on the weekend or
Yep.
something and have a tank there and have informational things and do a chat for anybody who wants to come by and talk about proper care because a lot of these people are on vacation too. It's right there on the Virginia Beach oceanfront. Um, and, of course, this was all a great idea. And then COVID hit and it was like, well, never mind. The aquarium is shut down, but it's something that I'd still love to look into having first, I think that if they'd be willing to even set up a proper habitat there would be a really great first step. And they have the space there. And then also just to be allowed, even if we had several local representatives in different places that could take turns going in and volunteering to educate, because there's large crowds that go through places like that. Um, So yeah, adoption events, even at local pet stores, or going to places like aquariums or zoos and giving talks. Any way that we can advocate and get the word out, I think is great. And yeah, exotic, like Stacy does.
I think Mike. I think. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just reading a comment.
So I think Mike's been Mike Vocoders um, is doing that right now, right? With he goes to schools in Florida, I think, yeah. And he got and whenever he has Jonathan the crab with him, he brought him with him, and then just showed the kids, um, so that's cool. And I think a similar thing also. We did this a few times already. So we brought a few of our guys in Jakarta brought our hermit crabs, and uh, during weekends to malls, and then we just kind of like you said, we set up shop there, and then let people watch the crabs, and then we get them we get talking to them, and then we steer them to join the Facebook group.
Neat. I keep looking off. I don't mean to keep disappearing. My kids
Scientific
woke
value.
up. I'm not sure if this was answered, but Darcy asked Kelsey, how do other venomous animals get greater regulation?
Hmm.
Um, sorry, just reading through to see if I missed your question, um, you can repost it so that it comes back down. We're trying to get them, but sometimes they get lost.
There are a lot of good discussions there in the chat, and I've
Yeah.
really good.
Um, I know. I wish this was like a Zoom meeting where we could all,
Yeah,
chit chat like that. I wish I could add the people, but this is, I don't know, maybe it's because people were in here early or something before it started, so that
yeah.
it's like frozen.
It's
Um,
great how proactive everybody are having this discussions in the chat. Really good.
yeah, I'll be doing the session.
Excitement, sharing.
I run my local reptile show. Sorry, I'm trying to see what Anna's saying. Um,
Shrimp and crayfish community.
Local reps selling babies at events won't be possible. We need to vet the adopters to ensure. Yes, that's a good point. Um, we are trying to make sure that, especially with the babies, that our adoption program, you have to have a proper setup to be considered for adopting hermit crabs. So the tricky part with trying to sell hermit crabs at local events, there would be no way for us to ensure that. And we're trying. That's part of our education, right? Not just to stop the wild capture, but also to make sure that these crabs are cared for in the proper way. Um, but I do think that local reps going and doing these discussions and maybe having a traveling tank that they're able to show people, or at least good pictures or a presentation of some sort, so that they can do these outreach things, is important. And then they can then lead anyone who is interested in adopting to the adoption program, where they can apply and be vetted and then adopt. So it's possible, but
Mm.
not in a direct sense. Like they wouldn't be able to just go and adopt, but they can go get the information, and then possibly, the local reps, maybe if working with Mary, might have some of them, then after they're vetted, would be able to more easily distribute to approved doctors only. I mean, it's just something to consider. Of course, when you spend as much time as
Mm.
Mary does and the breeders do taking care of them, I understand 1,000% why the need for caution and doing things properly is important. And yes, we'll be doing an adoption session 7/12. Mm,
Eventually will be.
don't you add me, I'm not dressed. Anna. Oh my gosh, you kept
Add
it
her.
all.
How do we add her?
Panicked when Rose popped up because I was I can't see you, Robin, don't worry.
I can actually invite Anna to video call. Can I? Can I invite her? Okay, I'm invite. I'm still in invite
Just
now.
said don't invite her.
I will close my computer.
Let's see.
Yeah, Darcy's a teacher, right? And Darcy has a tank, an actual crab tank in her classroom, which is great. I
I
think we
would
need
love to be in
more.
Darcy's class. Can we all just say that? Like, I want to be in Darcy's class for a day. I feel like her class
Yeah,
has to be like the best class ever.
uh,
Yeah, eventually Anna
and
commented, eventually that process will need to be done away with if many people start breeding, we'll need to find other ways of doing things. Yes, that's true. I think that the whole process will evolve as breeding becomes
yeah.
more prevalent.
Risky, do you know if Andy will be joining us on here at some point? I don't think so. Andy Mulyana, you mean Anna? I don't think so. He knows about this conference, but I don't think he's gonna come in. See. Reptile exotic expose, yeah. I think a good uh, presentation that you can tune into is Felix's talk. Felix from
Yeah,
Indonesia also. I think yeah, it's just some. I don't know how deep he will go, but he knows everything. I think top to bottom from about collecting hermit crabs in Indonesia because he's a seller himself. So yeah.
yeah. I actually talked to him briefly, and he sent me his paper, and I wanted to include that in this. So when I finally do get this finished for Stacy, I plan to cite him and the information that he shares, some of it.
Mm. Uh, and also I just remember there's one more person that I should have recommended to Mary to add to CrabCon is the she's the founder, I think, no, the discoverer of Lila in Indonesia.
Oh,
Yeah, I think maybe next year. Yeah,
yeah, that would be really neat.
a real scientist. Like wow,
Wow.
like like Chris, I think Christopher Tudge. Well, Christopher asks, who are the wild-caught hermit crab importers? Did they need import permits from government? Yeah. Does anyone know how this process work? Do you
Well,
know this?
that I looked, Stacy sent me a few links on that. There's one, his name is Merv, and
Oh,
it goes
that's from Australia.
Merv. Oh, okay. So for here, I'm not
Yeah.
sure, but I know that that was really eye-opening to see what he had to do or not have to do.
Felix knows. Felix knows. I think Felix been to the hermit crab holding areas in Florida, I think, or
There's
somewhere.
New Jersey
But you know,
also that I was reading about.
Regan McGee said that the captive bred animals tend to be more comfortable with interaction since they grew up with it. Yep, I think that's what Mary is working towards. I think, yeah, she's trying to get the more what is it? Docile, tame babies.
Yes, she does
Yeah.
specifically try to keep the ones that are more social. Husselback, Hulsenbeck.
Oh,
They sell more than 1 million of the little crabs in their shells every year. They have a warehouse.
yeah.
Stetson and Hulsenbeck. I'll post the link in the chat.
Yeah.
That was for Chris. I think that ties into what you were asking, Christopher. Sorry if I'm being too informal. I think the biggest
Do
thing would
you
be
think
yeah.
Robin mentioned about unique color mutations? I think that will come in the future. That will definitely come in the future. Like freshwater shrimp, yeah. Russian fox breeding experiment. Okay. All right. Rosemary, if you don't mind, I think I need to go back to my kids. It's 11 o'clock
Sure.
here, 11 p.m., and I need to get
Thank
them to
you
sleep. It's
for
already very
hopping in
late.
and chatting.
Thank
Um,
you.
I just
Also,
have a few more
thanks
things that I'll
everybody.
share before I release everyone. But thank you so much. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you. No worries. And the chat box, is it like can we save them? Can we
It
save
says
the
it's
chat?
being recording. It's being recorded.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I
Because
see.
it's awesome. The chat. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Good night.
See you in the morning. My morning. Bye.
Your morning. Yeah. So as he's leaving, I don't want to drag things, but I do also want to answer any questions or and say any comments that people would like shared. But I just want to read through some of the call to actions that I had on the presentation that I was going to give because Mary really liked them and as did Stacy, and I think they're important things to consider as we're all. It ends at noon. What time is it? I don't even know what time it is. Noon. Oh, it ends now. Just kidding. I'll post these. So thanks everybody. We'll see you later. Thanks, Mary. Good chat, everybody. We will end this now. Bye.